Hey everyone, this is Hank Pomerantz from Carolina Yacht Care in beautiful downtown Southport, North Carolina. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the navigational capabilities that we've managed to put on Google Earth. You may have Google Earth Pro or you may have Google Earth. I don't believe it matters one way or the other which version you have. The important things here is that on the left-hand side of your screen, you should see something that looks like this. Some of you, depending on whether you've tried Google Earth before, may have these three items here under temporary places. That's possible. If so, that's what you want to concern yourself about. Anything above these, don't worry about those. So find where it shows on your screen that you've got these, because by now you've downloaded the file that I dropped for you in Dropbox. Okay, so moving along. You're familiar with this screen, of course. What I've done is I've zoomed in. We have Southport down here. Here's Beaufort, Cape Hatteras, and up here, of course, you have the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. We're going to concentrate our efforts throughout the intercoastal down this way because right now I'm focused on moving northbound for the northbound transits. The first thing I want to demonstrate to you up here is that when you see a plus sign, that just means there's something, it's a tree, and it just means there's something under the tree. So under nautical charts, you have that. Under navigation, you have things about bridges, and you have lights, and you have ICW trouble spots. And each time you open one of these things, it gives you more and more information. And the other control here, I'm just going to close these, but the other control is that when you click the box, that's what turns it on. So right now, for example, I've clicked nautical charts, and there's the nautical charts. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the nautical charts except to tell you that this is a little bit slow in loading, and but you can still use it if you want to. Not everybody's going to want to underlay nautical charts on their work here. One of the important things is that every time you move something, for example, let's say I zoom in here on the Beaufort area, and I just continue to zoom in. Now it takes a while to render. Okay, so if you start to run into situations where time is of the essence and you're really trying to do things, just turn the nautical chart thing off. These things do give you the best information that's available out there. They are going out and getting current nautical charts. And of course, like all of the software that you see out there, all the applications, the farther in you go, the more detail you get. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and turn off nautical charts to speed the demonstration up. And I'm going to zoom back out all the way to the area between Southport and Cape Henry, essentially. So there we are. That's our area. So let's now look under navigation and see what we have. Well, the first thing we have under navigation is bridges and locks from mile mark 0, which of course is the Portsmouth area, to South Carolina. And you can see it was updated on the 2nd. So when I open that up, I see something that says Bridges and Locks Database. Well, I click that, and there's all the bridges and locks essentially between here and or just south of here and Norfolk. I can click on any one of these things and turn it on, and you can see an icon up there. And then I can click on the icon, and I can get whatever current information I have there. So this is just generic sort of information. In general, we're not going to do this one bridge at a time. You can choose to do that. You can open a bunch of them at a time, that sort of thing. And we'll look at a little better way to do it. If you want to turn all the bridges on, you just simply click the big one, and now all the bridges are on. Now, clearly, I'm going to close this up, but clearly, this sort of altitude looking down on this thing is not going to do us any good. But it does bring something of interest to bear, and that is you'll notice that some of these are smaller blue icons and some of these are larger red. The larger red icons talk to the fact that there's something special going on in that bridge. There's some sort of a special announcement. So for example, if I zoom in here on, let's say, the Virginia Cut route, I noticed a couple of things. First of all, I have locks here. There's the Great Bridge Lock, and if I click on it, I get information about the Great Bridge Lock. But let's take a look at the bridges. If I click on the North Landing Bridge, the red is telling me there's something going on. When I click on it, in bold letters I get any updates that have recently been passed along through primarily through the local notices to mariners. So you get to read those. Here's another one: special announcement, ongoing bridge fender repair, blah blah blah. But yet when I look at some of these other ones, there's nothing going on. Notice that there's no bold, there's no nothing. And here we have the similar sort of thing. So let's zoom in on this one. This is kind of a fun one because in this one you get to see the two bridges that are there, and you really have to go in there to see it. So here you have the Norfolk and Southern Bridge has got something going on in bold there, but here you have the Gilmerton Highway Bridge and there's nothing going on. Okay, so that's kind of the way the bridges works, and every time we get information that has to do with what's going on in the bridges, we just add it to this database, and that takes care of getting you the information that you need. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off, we'll do that, turn off bridges, and we'll go ahead and zoom back out for the sake of demonstrating what's next on the list. I'm kind of rushing through this because YouTube only allows these things to be a certain length of time, and besides, you don't want me to bore you to tears too much. Okay, so let's zoom in. The next thing on our list here, we're going to forget Wilmington District Map just for a database map for a second. Let's look at the light list. Now, light list, if you're familiar with the terminology, that applies to buoys and lights. It's just not lights. Now, you'll notice, again, at this altitude, you're not getting a whole lot of information out of this. The important thing is that what I've done is I've taken the lights around the inlets rather than try to put every light on here, because it's the lights around the inlet that have been moved to account for shoaling that are of most concern to you. So that's what you have here. You've got things like Lockwood's Folly Inlet and Carolina Beach and Browns Inlet working our way up the coast, and we'll talk a little more about that in a bit. So that's it. Those are the light lists. Again, if you just want to see, let's see where the lights around Lockwood's Folly, you can basically click on Lockwood's Folly, and you can see the current status of the light list. So there's Lockwood's Folly, and there are the lights going across Lockwood's Folly. Okay, it's as simple as that, and we'll talk a little more about Lockwood's Folly because that's kind of my test case for this whole thing. One thing that is interesting here, let me zoom in on this. Sometimes, one of the reasons nautical charts may be helpful is because you see the positions of these lights. These are current positions based on the Coast Guard's latest report. If you overlay the nautical chart on here, it's interesting to note that when you look here, for example, green 47 is right where it's supposed to be. But red 48 is supposed to be here, and it's way over here. Okay, ditto green 47, there's where green 47 should be. Is where green 47 has moved because of shoaling, and you can see that's the same here. This one, on the other hand, is right on the money. So it gives you an idea of how useful turning on the nautical charts can be to see essentially what is as compared to what does my chart show. But again, let me turn that off. The other thing I want to turn on here is this Wilmington District base map. Now this is interesting only because what it's showing me is where the channel really is supposed to be. We're all talk about the magenta line. This is basically showing you where it is. So on this display, you can easily look along the intercoastal waterway and go, okay, this is where it's supposed to be, but oh my gosh, this is really where it goes. Okay, so that's that. Those are the three. So we'll keep the light list on for a minute. We'll turn that off just for simplicity. Then you have ICW trouble spots. Now these are all listed in order, and these are basically south to north moving. Now again, these have information under them, as you can see, and I can turn them on as I go. So the first thing I want to do is I want to turn on a survey legend. We're going to use the Army Corps of Engineers survey, so I'm going to turn the colors on. If you remember, those are color coded. And then I want to turn the survey on. This Bendigo thing that comes here, that's a wreck out there, and I haven't been able to figure out how to turn that off. But this is the latest Army Corps of Engineers survey. You can see that the survey date is the 5th to the 6th to January. And now you have the most current survey along with the most current lights and most current buoy positions. Now here I also have what a logical path would be through Lockwood's Folly based on these conditions. And you'll notice that these don't have little waypoints on them, but if you put your hand cursor on there and look to the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you'll see the latitude and longitude. You can see it moving there. So you can get an idea what the latitudes and longitudes are. Now, there are three things here. I'm going to click all of these at the same time because here's Lockwood's Folly Tides, Cruiser Comments, and Lockwood's Folly Video. Now you'll notice that now what I get is three little icons. So the Race and Cruiser Comments, you just click on that, and then I just threw a comment in here. This is from when I was down there in my whaler last time. There's a comment, very, very simple. If you want to, you can turn that off. If you want to look at tides for Lockwood's Folly, you just click on there and it gives you the link to go to the tides. One thing I want you to notice, here's the tides, is that you have perfect controls under here as if you were actually at the website outside of Google Earth. So for example, I want to see what the tides are the next day or the next day, that sort of thing. So very, very easy to do. Anytime you want to go back to Google Earth, you just go back to Google Earth. And the last thing here that I want to show you is this business about a video. In some cases, we're going out and we have a drone, we're shooting video footage. If you click on that, you get this. Now this is a link to a YouTube video. Some of you may or may not, when you click this link in Google Earth, you may or may not get a proper response back. It may just go blank. So for example, if I click on it, and this is what my screen looks like. Notice that it doesn't do anything. I know that on Lisa's screen, my wife's screen, her video pops up. If you just go back to Google Earth and click that again, it gives you instructions for how to do it. If your YouTube video player does not work properly, choose Tools, choose Options, go to the General tab, choose Show Web and External Browser, apply, and hit OK. And that's all there is to that. And then really all you have to do is when you click on it this time, you're going to go outside of Google Earth and go to the video. So in this case, let's just go back to Google Earth, and now we're back to where we were. So again, some of you may have to do that, some not. Remember though, this also tells you that remember to uncheck the box and Options when you're done with the video. So you just basically go to Tools, to Options, and then turn this off, and now everything will happen again back in Google Earth. So that's that, and then so that's all the information that's available here at Lockwood's Folly. You can turn those off, and that all goes away. Now these lights are on because the light list is up here, but we'll keep that on. So let's go ahead now and say, okay, well, what is the next option up? The next option up is Carolina Beach Inlet. So I just double click on Carolina Beach and this thing pops over to Carolina Beach. We can zoom in a little more if we like. There's Carolina Beach. And what I have here so far is I have the depth legend, of course, and then I have the survey. So I have the lights in the survey. It takes a little bit of time to render. You're liable to see all these crazy things with these curved arrows, but that's just the way it is. And it should load here in a minute. There you go. It's getting there. It's getting there. It takes a minute. I get there. There you are. And it shows you, for example, that there's some fairly shallow water, 4 to 6 feet, on the intercoastal side of Green 155 to be careful of. Okay. One final thing before I run out of here, we're not going to be talking about tides and weather, is that anytime you want to capture an image of all this stuff, you can just hit Save Image, and it asks you where you want to do it, and you just save it. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to saving that image. Okay, I'm down to where I don't have any more time in this video. It's been almost 15 minutes. So let's just close this out, and we can turn that off, and we can turn the lights off, and we can close everything back up, and now you're back to where you started anytime you want to start. If you want to turn the save image thing off, just click that off. And there you go. You're back into Google Earth, and everything is hunky-dory for you. Okay, so if you have any questions, by all means, drop me a note, let me know. And in the meantime, thanks again for trying the beta version of this thing, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.